Yo, what's up guys, it's XRAYZ and welcome to Behind the Horror. This is episode 12, Transit, Cabin Fever. I know it's been a while since I did the last episode of Behind the Horror, but since we're only 3 months, and it's less than 3 months now actually, from Black Ops 3, we're going to be kicking it into overdrive, and I'm going to be doing Behind the Horror twice a month, probably even more than that, so that we're caught up all the way to Origins by the time that Black Ops 3 is out. So with that said, if you guys enjoy the video guys, make sure to leave a like, leave a favorite. Let's try to hit 700 likes on today's episode. And of course, if you enjoy zombie content, in-depth stuff like this, make sure to subscribe so you guys don't miss any videos in the future. If you guys want to support the channel and get access to these videos earlier than everyone else guys, make sure to check out my Patreon. It will be linked in the description below. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and learn a little bit more about Tranzit. Although Tranzit might be one of the most infamous maps in Call of Duty Zombies, it's still a pretty inspired map. Tranzit is a huge map with many areas that could have inspired several stories or settings, but in today's episode of Behind the Horror, we'll be focusing on the Hunter's Cabin, a pretty out of place yet creepy area of Tranzit. The Hunter's Cabin in Tranzit is actually based off a pretty famous cabin, the cabin used in the Evil Dead movie. In fact, the look and feel was matched as closely to the cabin used in that movie as possible. If we focus on this, we learn more about the cabin and its real life story. I will also be covering a mysterious unsolved murder in Cabin 28. But before we do that, first let's learn about this cabin's real life story. Evil Dead famously takes place at an abandoned cabin in the woods. It's there that 5 vacationing college students are trapped when they discover a book and a tape recording that contains incantations that summon demons who possess the kids one by one and can only be stopped by dismemberment. It was shot at an actual abandoned cabin near Morristown, Tennessee. In an interview made at the time of the film's release, Rayz claimed that the cabin was actually haunted, that it was the subject of a ghost story told by locals. According to the story, the girl was supposedly the lone survivor of the ordeal that claimed her family there during a thunderstorm nearly a century ago that had traumatized her out of her mind. As an old woman, she had supposedly gone missing just before the shoot and was said to be wandering the woods where the filming took place. So not only is a Hunter's Cabin based off a horror movie, but also a haunted cabin. Aside from these events, there have been several cabin-based murders and stories throughout the years. One still unsolved is the unsolved murders in Cabin 28. The Kenny murders is an unsolved 1981 American quadruple murder that took place in Keddie, a former resort town in the foothills of Northern California Sierra Nevada mountains. The murders took place in Cabin 28 during the late evening of April 11, 1981 and or early morning of the 12th. The victims were Glenna Sharp, known as Sue, her daughter Tina, her son John, and his friend Donna Wingate. Tina was determined to be missing after the crime was first discovered. Her skull and several other bones were discovered in 1984 near Camp 18, California in Boone County. Sue's oldest daughter Shayla had stayed with the next door neighbors in Cabin 27 that night and discovered the murders the morning of April 12th. Sue's 2 youngest sons and their friend, who were having a sleepover at Cabin 28 that night, were found uninjured in the boys' bedroom that morning. Glenna Sue Sharp, 36, and her 5 children had been renting the cabin since November 1980. On the night of April 11, 1981, she was home with her daughter, Tina, her 2 youngest boys, and a young friend of the boys, Justin, who was staying the night. Her oldest son, John, and his friend, Donna Wingate, had spent the day in nearby Quincy and were also going to stay the night at Cabin 28. John and Donna were last seen hitchhiking from Quincy to Keddie. The crime may have already been in progress when they arrived at the cabin. At approximately 8 a.m. on the morning of April 12th, Shayla Sharp, upon returning from the sleepover next door, discovered the bodies of Sue, John, and Donna in the cabin's living room. All 3 victims have been bound with medical tape and electrical appliance wires. Later, Tina Sharp was determined to be missing from the cabin. Examination of the bodies determined that each of the victims had been bludgeoned with a claw hammer, and Sue and John had been stabbed repeatedly, including both being stabbed once in the throat. Donna Wingate was also manually strangled and bludgeoned with another weapon. An inexpensive steak knife discovered at the scene had been used so forcefully that the blade bent approximately 25 degrees. The case grew cold, But in 1984, the cranium portion of Tina Sharp's skull was recovered near Camp 18, a distance of roughly 29 miles from Keddie. Months later, after an anonymous caller to the Boot County Sheriff's Office claimed the skull was Tina's, the Camp 18 area was searched again for several hours over a period of days. The jawbone and dozens of other bones were found, along with other potential evidence. From these discoveries, no new information regarding the crime surfaced in the media. The murder remains unsolved to this day. So that is some of the creepy stuff that surrounds this cabin in Transit. It's based off a real life cabin that was haunted. Also might have inspiration from some of these terrible murders that have happened in cabins before. But anyways guys, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Behind the Horror. If you guys enjoyed it, leave a like, leave a favorite. It does get the content out there, helps the channel grow, and it is very much appreciated. And of course, if you are new, if this is the first video that you're watching, if you enjoy in-depth zombie content like this and you want to see more in the future, make sure to subscribe. Lastly, if you want to support the channel and see these videos earlier than everyone else, make sure to check out my Patreon page. A link to that will be down in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for I'm out. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.